Hi, Vaishali. Welcome to Elixir. Can you tell us something about your profile and your introduction?
So my full name is Vaishali and I come from the city of Kanpur. And this was my first attempt at CAT. And I have a 10 CGPA in class 10, then 94.67 percentage in class 12. And after that, I did my graduation in computer science and engineering from IIT Jabalpur, where I had a cumulative CGPA of 8.7. And after that, I have a work experience of 15 months at Oracle, but I wanted to prepare for the civil service examination. So I quit my job and therefore I have a 3 year of gap. So that's it.
Talking about this year, what has been your percentile for CAT and what colleges have you converted?
I scored a total of 98.82 percentile in CAT this year. And I had all the calls, that is IMA, B, C, L, K, I, S, and CAP. Thereafter, I also applied for FMS and SPGN and MTI. I also appeared for OMITS examination. So I had calls from SIBM Pune, FEHMRD, and I had call from IFT as well. And XRM.
Okay, great. Talking about your profile, since you set up the 3 years ka gap hai and you were preparing for civil services, so how did you do this shift? मतलब वहाँ से यहाँ पे, what made you do this?
So, see, when I went to prepare for civil services examination, I had already made my mind that I'll give 2 or 3 sincere attempts. And if it does not happen, then I'll obviously switch back to the corporate sector. So, I wrote the civil services examination in 2022 as well in June. And when the result was published in July, I did not make it. So I analyzed my situation and I saw what are the options available to me, and MBA was a pretty decent choice for me because it would provide me a platform to upskill myself and place myself back into the corporate sector. So I joined EG in July. I think late July I joined in batch 3.
Batch 3. Okay. And how did you get to know of EG?
So I have my friend from college. She has recently graduated from IIM Indore. She is also a past student of EG, and she is the person I would have trusted the most to take this decision. So she recommended that EG is the best. So that is the call I made.
Okay. So since you told me that you started your preparation from batch 3, and then by that time it's already July or so. So after that, how long did you take to do your basics and cover up the course?
So see, I did not have much time to, first prepare and then start with the mocks. So I think the first mock I took was around 20 or 25 days after I joined the course. And I was juggling between, because I was not working, so I had the whole day for preparation. So I would just attend the live classes, do the assignment, and take the test 1 or 2 at a time whenever I had the time. So that is pretty much it. I was doing both at the same time.
Okay. So what happened in the initial few mocks?
So in the initial first mock, I don't know how, but I scored well. So my confidence was up. But in the very next mock, I got single digit score in BARC, I remember. And it was a shocker for me. And I reached every lecture that had been that I need to unlearn a lot of things for BARC, because in UPSC also there is a paper where you have aptitude in English, but that is very different from what we have in CAT. So there your intuition and all works, but here you cannot attempt paper with intuition. So that is the step I took. I learned a lot of things. Then I started applying the tricks which Shadar sir told us in the class, and I started reading the questions before reading the paragraph. That helped me a lot in choosing the right set of questions before attempting paper. So I think that is
okay. Okay. And talking about all the 3 sections, when you started giving the mocks, you must have realized that, one section is your strength, another is, draining your energy. So what was that in your case?
So I really enjoyed Gaurav sir's LRDI class from the very beginning because I liked solving puzzles and all. But this was the section which troubled me a lot in the later phase. Because in the initial phase, I think we solved some very, simple problems. So you develop a lot of interest in that subject. But later on, when you go and you see problems which you have never seen, and they're very difficult, to start with. So I think LRDI was the section which I faced the most problem in.
Okay. And any topic which was in strength?
Yeah, I think I would say that in BARC, I would do reading comprehension pretty well. And after that, in quants, I was good with work and time, speed, distance, geometry. So whenever I would attempt a mock, I would make sure that I look for these questions first. I'll attempt them, and then I look for the other questions so that I do not waste time in questions that will take time or that I do not have a hold on.
So going forward, जैसे September आता है, October आता है, you kind of change your strategy as well to do your mocks. So did you change your strategy as well? What did you do at that time?
See, I did not have a lot of time to figure a strategy or did not have any experience of CAT before this. So I would say that I followed the strategy that EG designed for us. And they would only decide that what test we have to take. They asked us to subscribe us to some other test series also. And they would allot us that this slot you have to take, this slot you have to book. And I would simply give those tests, analyze those tests, and write down my learnings in a separate notebook as it was recommended. And it did help a lot in the end, because in the end, you cannot go and revise 20-25 tests. It is a lot of questions. So if there were some important questions or questions that you were, facing problems in and you note it down, then it helps in the last.
Okay. So since you also made a notebook of all the mocks that you were giving, what happened in the last few mocks? आपको एक difference देखा from earlier to end?
See, from early on, yes, I would say that I made quite a progress in quants and VAR. See, LRDI थोड़ा मेरा ऊपर नीचे रहता था because उसमें you never know कि कब कौन सा पजल आपसे सॉल्व होगा, कब कौन सा नहीं होगा. बट अगर LRDI में भी मेरे को कोई ऐसी लर्निंग मिलती थी जो मुझे लगता था कि आगे कोई पजल आएगा उसमें आई कैन यूज दिस, और गौरव सर जब एनालिसिस करवाते थे तो कोई क्वेश्चन किसी और तरीके से अटेम्प्ट करना बताते थे, तो आई वुड नोट इट डाउन एंड आई थिंक इट हेल्प मी in the end. और plus past year papers भी हमें solve करवाए गए थे. So I think that also helped a lot in making our mind कि किस type के questions actually exam में आते हैं, because no matter what mocks काफी different होते हैं जो CAT का actual paper होता है उससे. तो इस context में I think past year papers also helped me a lot.
Okay. And अगर last month की बात करें जो नवंबर होता है एग्जाम से जस्ट पहले, so थोड़ा स्ट्रेसफुल भी होता है, you don't know कि अभी क्या करना है, last minute what to do. तो उस टाइम आपकी क्या स्ट्रेटजी थी, क्या रूटीन फॉलो कर रहे थे आप?
November में I had stopped doing any new topics. For example, I fell ill while number system was covered in the class. So I somehow completed the classes, but I was not able to complete the assignments. So बाद में ऐसा था कि I did not have the time कि मैं पूरा वो number system, it is a huge topic. तो उसका assignment करने की जगह I chose कि whatever topics I know, I'll just do the revision of that. And in that, the booster course helped me a lot because there would be day-long classes on weekends or लंबी classes रात में भी होती थी, in which Hani sir put a lot of effort, I would say. I mean, अगर मैंने 50 मतलब अगर 5 अपने एफर्ट को दूंगी तो हनी सर के एफर्ट को 10 दूंगी, because he really put a lot of effort in making us revise everything n number of times. I don't know how many times we have revised geometry, how many times we had revised, or APGP and all those topics. So I think booster course plus giving one mock every day and analyzing it the same day or the next day was the strategy I followed in November.
ठीक है. And talking about the D-Day, उस दिन आपका experience कैसा था? मतलब how did you cope with the pressure of the exam?
No matter how much you prepare, उस दिन डर तो लगता ही है. And to be honest, I really do not know where time went from the moment I sat on to give the exam and the moment I got up. मतलब वो 2 घंटे I really do not remember a single second कि कौन सा second कैसे pass हुआ है. बस I just started writing और बस करते करते it just went on. But I think जितनी भी हमें strategy mock exams के time में बताई जाती है, it helped a lot because थोड़ा pattern भी change हुआ था इस बार. But we were already told कि unpredictable होता है, mind set up करके मत जाना. And I think कि जब LRDI में I saw कि हाँ ठीक है 6 और 4 वाले कोई puzzles ही नहीं है, so you cannot pick a puzzle which has 6 questions. So I just went back to my mocks and मैंने सोचा कि मेरे किस चीज में better marks आते थे. Okay, DI I performed better, so I picked a set जिसमें DI करना था. सो आई थिंक थोड़ा मतलब प्रिपेयर्ड, और थोड़ा इस चीज के लिए प्रिपेयर्ड लाना ज्यादा जरूरी होता है कि वहां पे कुछ अलग भी हो सकता है, so you do not have to cry about that at that moment.
एंड सिंस बीएआरसी आपका स्ट्रॉन्ग था, तो वो आपने कैसे काउंटर किया, क्योंकि उसकी भी थोड़ी स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज हो गई थी, और बैन आउट नहीं आया, फिर द ब्लैंक्स आ गया था, सो हाउ मेनी क्वेश्चंस डिड यू ट्राई एंड डू?
I think in total I attempted around 19 questions in VRC, and उसमें से mostly I did all मतलब RC plus VA के questions. Para jumbles मेरा weak point रहा है starting से, because there is high probability that you'll choose the wrong option there. So I always used to do para jumbles in the last, and I followed the same strategy on the exam day as well. और fill in the blanks वाला चीज था, but okay, मतलब I was prepared कि ठीक है थोड़ा अलग है, but I can do it. I just मतलब इतना मैंने थॉट नहीं दिया कि कुछ चेंज हो गया है तो अब मैं इसके बारे में सोचूं बैठ के, ओके जो है वो करना ही है.
ठीक है. एंड आपका स्कोर क्या था, मतलब इंडिविजुअली आल्सो एंड क्यूमुलेटिव तो आपने बता दिया.
Yes. So individually I got 99.5 percentile in BARC, and I got 89.56 in LRDI, and in quants I got 94.96.
Okay. And going forward from GAT, ये OMETS भी जैसे फर्स्ट टाइम ही आप दे रहे थे सारे एग्जाम्स, सो हाउ डिड यू हैव दैट शिफ्ट कि अभी कैट दे दिया है, दिसंबर का मंथ है, उसमें इतने सारे एग्जाम्स देने हैं, सबकी स्ट्रैटेजी डिफरेंट होगी, पैटर्न इज डिफरेंट, सो हाउ डिड यू हैव दैट चेंज इन माइंड?
So I appeared for NMAT in October itself, because हनी सर ने कहा था कि दिसंबर में बहुत सारे एग्जाम्स होते हैं, तो अगर हमारे पास चॉइस है कि हम कैट के पहले एक सीरियस एग्जाम दे लें, so it would be better for us. So I just did what he told, and I scored pretty decent in that. I got 249 in NMAT. And after that, SNAP, IFT और ZAT के लिए I totally relied on EG के courses only. They released GK के course, they released decision making के course, and they also released separate mock test for each exam. So rather than going and fetching or searching for other material, what I used to do, I used, for example, SNAP आने वाला है, तो before a week or so, our mentors used to tell us कि ठीक है अब आपको रोज SNAP का एक टेस्ट देना है and we'll analyze it. तो फिर ठीक है, I used to give one mock each day and I used to analyze it, and this is how I tackled OMETS. मतलब इसके लिए कोई different preparation नहीं की, जो भी छोटे मोटे courses, for example GK and all I had to add on, I did that, and other than that I relied on the mock tests only.
ठीक है. एंड इंडिविजुअली आपके स्कोर्स की बात करें फॉर ऑल द वुमेन्स, तो वो क्या थे?
So in SNAP, I scored a percentile of 99.91, and in ZAT, I got 99.59 percentile. In IFT, I scored 98.36 percentile.
Okay, great. So basing on all these, आपके पास बहुत सारे calls भी होंगे, and when you receive so many calls, you have a fear कि ठीक है अभी रिटर्न तो हो गए, पूरा साल उसकी प्रेपरेशन की है, अभी इंटरव्यूज में इक्वली मेहनत करनी है, so has to convert these colleges. तो उसके लिए आपने कैसी प्रेपरेशन की, कहाँ से की?
Since जब मैं preparation start करी थी, I was very much worried about my gap years. So before joining EG only, I contacted Hani sir and I told him that I have this much year of gap year, and is my profile good enough? Would my gap make any difference? So he said कि I think we are worrying about wrong thing right now. अभी हमें अच्छा स्कोर लाने पे फोकस करना चाहिए, and after you make it, then we'll discuss about that. So I think I took that advice and it helped me, क्योंकि फिर मैंने गैप के बारे में इंटरव्यू के पहले तक नहीं सोचा. And for interview, I took some mock classes at with some other mentor, जो weekend पे classes लेते थे, but his classes were very nice but very extensive. He used to take whole weekend, I mean Saturday and Sunday, and उसमें जो भी वो cover करते थे, I had covered pretty much of it in UPSC, so I thought it was a redundant course for me. So I decided not to join it. I decided to go for more practice of mock interviews. So for that, I enrolled for EG mock interviews only. And I took 3 to 4 mock interviews with EG and few other mock interviews with a few friends of mine who have graduated, who have already completed their MBA. So 5, 6 mocks I took, and other than that, फिर जो online interviews already start हो गए थे, SIBM and all के, तो I think जब तक मेरा real IIMs का interview शुरू हुआ था, I had experience of around 8, 9, 10 interviews. So I think that was pretty much it.
Okay, and talking about your actual interview experience, तो one by one जैसे आपके interviews होते गए वैसे हमें बताइए.
तो स्टार्टिंग में तो SIBM वगैरह के इंटरव्यूज थे, दे वर प्रीटी चिल, उनमें बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल्ड आपका एकेडमिक्स भी नहीं पूछते हैं, दे वर मोर फोकस्ड ऑन योर रीसेंट प्रोफाइल, जैसे आपके वर्क एक्स से थोड़ा सा पूछ लेंगे, थोड़ा बहुत करंट अफेयर से पूछ लेते हैं. देन आई हैड SP जैन का इंटरव्यू, सो इट इज हेल्ड इन 2 stages. In the first stage I had calls for both BM and IM. So usme they asked me about my gap year, but I think I was able to convince them that I had learned a lot of things in that time, and it was not a waste. And after that, they also asked me about some few current topics to see if I'm aware or not, and asked some questions from computer science as well. And in the second stage of SP Gen, we had to give a physical interview, which was a group interview. So in that, it was mostly an ethical kind of interview in which the interview revolved around two major questions. The first question, the panelist, she took it from my SOP only, and she asked us if I would consider Albus Dumbledore to be a good mentor or not. And then she asked the same question to all the people who were giving the interview. And the second question, which we debated about, or we were asked about, was that if there is a drug available or a pill available which has no side effect, but it can increase your efficiency like 100 times, so will you take it? So these were the two questions which we were asked about. And after that, my IMS interview started. So the first one was Shillong interview. It was started with a GD, in which the central theme was contract farming. And after that, in the interview, it was majorly focused on my academic background. I had prepared 2 subjects from my academics, but they started asking from a lot of more subjects. So I realized that I need to prepare more from that. So I took that learning from there. However, I converted Shillong, I don't know how. And after that, it was my Calcutta interview. It was very unconventional. It started with, why are you even coming for MBA? This is your B plan. And what is the difference between an administrator and a manager, and how their roles are similar, and we do not see any similarity. How did you switch from there to this too? Ultimately, I was able to convince them, I think. And post that, I had my Lucknow interview. It was a very short interview. Some random questions they asked, and they asked a few questions from sociology also, because it was my subject in UPSC. So that was it. And after that, it was COE. So in COE interview, they asked questions from my SOP. I mentioned a movie, so they asked some questions about that movie, then some other movies as well, if I'm aware or not. And then they asked some academic questions, and some questions related to UPSC as well. After that, I had my XLRI interviews. So the XLRI HR interview, it was solely based on sociology. A lot of sociology questions were asked, a lot of sociology concepts, a lot of things about some old sociologists were asked to me. So that was about it. And after that, the BM XLRI, it was based on my work ex and then some academic questions. And after that, my Ahmedabad interview, so it also started with why I want to switch from UPSC to, MBA, and do I see myself as a suitable candidate for MBA? If so, then why? And then they asked me some questions about technology, some questions about my work ex, how my company is doing, what is the total revenue, what is the share of, IT sector in India, GDP. So these were the questions. Then they asked me about semiconductors, which I was not prepared because I'm a computer science graduate. So I think that was to test if I become nervous and what will be my reaction to the next questions. So I think that question I did not answer very well, but post that I just got my hold back. And then they showed me a picture and asked me that we have not seen the picture, explain the picture to us, and we should imagine the same picture. So I did that. And after that, they asked me what is the significance of this picture. And if you have to draw a picture just after this, so what would you draw? So that was something unconventional that was asked in Ahmedabad interview. And after that, I had my Bangalore interview. So my Bangalore interview was very philosophical in nature. It went down to the Mahabharata period and all, because I had mentioned something about it in my SOPs. And after that, there was a contrast between UPSC and MBA again, that who is better and how. they asked me. And I was not very confident about my Bangalore interview. I mean, I was quite surprised when I saw my name even in the waiting list. And after that, I had my FMS interview. So they had an extempore in which I was giving the topic waiting room. And post that, they asked me a few questions about my computer science background and a few questions about my workings and some current affair questions. And after that, the last interview in which I appeared for was IFT interview, in which the panelists asked me about my UPSC journey, what did I learn from it, and where did I go wrong. And they asked me all the scores from ranging from CAT to that and every other score. And then they asked me a few, random current affair questions, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you. आपने इतने extensively हमें explain किया about all your interviews. But since you have converted all these colleges and जब भी कोई किसी भी candidate के पास ऐसा होता है कि gap years हैं, let alone 1 year, 3 years also. They have this in mind कि हमारा conversion होना बहुत मुश्किल है. And it has been your first attempt. You had so many calls, you had given so many interviews. और उसके बाद 3 years का gap आपने counter कैसे किया? And why did you think कि इतने सारे colleges में आपका selection भी हुआ? What has been that reason?
So I think कि अगर कैंडिडेट्स को ऐसा लगता है कि गैप ईयर से उनके चांसेस कम हो जाएंगे, then I would say कि 6 months back I was at the same stage. मैं भी same thinking रखती थी and I was very skeptical कि मेरे को एक भी कॉल आएगा कि नहीं आएगा, and this is the only reason I appeared for every exam. I mean, I took all the exams that were there because I just wanted a platform to learn and to get back to the corporate sector. But I think being patient and then preparing well for the interview. Once you do well in your CAT examinations, you need to take the interviews very seriously. I mean,
maybe my network is giving trouble. I'm so sorry. You just rose. Okay, so let's resume. You were talking about your interview experience, right? And the gap years.
Yeah. So what I would like to say is that you need to be, a little patient. You need to trust the process and your mentors. I mean, for me, what worked was whenever I was in trouble, I used to talk to my friends or I used to talk to, Honey sir or so. And I would just do whatever if they'll say be patient and it will be all right. Do not, go and search for keys after CAT, focus on the next exams you have. I would really do that. But I had not matched my, CAT answer keys with a lot of keys because I knew whatever has to come, but I need to focus on that and other exams now. So that was that. And after that, for interviews, you need to be really serious and you need to know yourself in a way that nobody, can point out that, okay, you are bluffing here or, you are telling a lie about yourself. So do not make a lot of things about yourself. Do not try to boast in your interviews because we have to realize that what are they looking for? What kind of candidates they're looking for? They are simply looking for sincere, disciplined and very simple students who are ready to learn. That's it. They're not looking for very big achievements or something like that. So do not lie on your SOPs or your, whenever you are speaking in your interviews because they'll catch it. So I think that and being a little confident, that's what worked for me.
Well said. You have been an inspiration for me and, the aspirants who are going to watch you because आपकी जो journey रही है to pick yourself up from 3 years gap, एक mentorship चाहिए होता है CS की preparation, then coming year, and उसके बाद being very calm of all the exams, जो होगा नहीं होगा, just moving forward with the flow. So that is the thing. मुझे लगता है कि आपने इतना calm और patience रखा. That is why उस वजह से भी आपकी conversion इतने हो पाए हैं. And really, you have been an inspiration. And I'm really glad that we are doing this interview with you. बहुत लोग जो देखेंगे आपका interview, they will be inspired by you. And if they have a similar profile, similar gap years, so they will also feel motivated looking at you that they have a fair chance if they work hard.
Yeah, I really wish that nobody is in my situation where I was 6 months back. I was really underconfident at that moment. But yeah, I mean, I want people to do well.
Yeah, definitely. And eventually, if I just ask you, about EG and what has their support been like in your journey, what are you going to say?
So I would say because all the MBA aspirants, they do not have much time, to experiment or to find resources on their own. So mentorship plays a very crucial role for them because most of them are working or in the last year of their college. So they have a very limited time to prepare. And in that, if they have the right mentorship, the right guidance, then they can definitely achieve success. So I think choosing the right mentor was the first thing that I did. And then following all the advices and all the schedules that they give, all doing all the assignments, attempting all the mocks. So that is what worked for me. So you just need to trust your mentors and trust the process as well. If in some mocks you do not perform well, do not get too much disheartened. Just learn from it and just take the next mock whenever it is scheduled. Do not keep on procrastinating that no, I'll prepare this topic and then I'll give the next mock. It won't help you.
Very well. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and taking out your time.
It was lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.